My name is Helen. I'm 66 years old. I'm currently at the ceremony hall, preparing for the funeral that will be held tonight. Tonight, I will send off my beloved eldest son to the skies. My son, Thomas, dreamed of becoming a lawyer and studied hard while always being kind with a smile on his face. When he was in elementary school, he went on a workplace tour to a law office and admired how they listened and consulted with people in trouble. That dream stayed with him through middle school and high school, and he went on to attend a prestigious university known for its law faculty, where he passed the national bar examination on his first attempt. 3 years after working at a law firm, he married Amanda, who worked at a cosmetics company. They lived together without children, and I was seldom invited to their home. Thomas was always busy, day and night, and I enjoyed the moments when I could go shopping with my seldom seen son or dine out occasionally. Life is unpredictable, but I never imagined that my son would be gone before me. Hey, get these flowers inside quickly. They're in the way, and I can't walk. Looking towards the voice, I saw Thomas's wife and the chief mourner, Amanda, harshly instructing the workers. Amanda, that's no way to speak to people. You're being noisy. Well then, Helen, please. This is so annoying. I got all disheveled helping with the transport, so I'm going to fix my hair in the restroom. You know, that's no way to speak to your in-laws. Soon, I won't have any relation to you anymore. So could you please stop acting all high and mighty? I am more than angry with Amanda's dreadful attitude. I'm simply at a loss for words and can only sigh. Then, Thomas's cousin arrived. He's a 29-year-old doctor, handsome, and capable of doing just about anything. Aunt Helen, Amanda, my condolences for your loss. Is there anything I can help with? It's been a while. How have you been? Right now, we are preparing for the funeral and cleaning up. Helen is tired, so could you take over for her? Neither of us has been able to sleep since yesterday. In front of others, Amanda plays the kind and considerate wife. But this is just a matter of enduring a few more days. Once my son is safely sent off, there will be no need to have any relationship with this daughter-in-law. I secretly took out the bear keychain that I had kept in my breast pocket, which my son had cherished since he was little, and gazed at it intently. He desperately wanted this keychain that had his birthday engraved on it when he was in elementary school, and I bought it for him. He believed that having it would bring good luck, and I knew he carried it with him without fail during exams, the bar exam, and even job interviews. I'll take this with him. While looking at the large photo of my son displayed in the hall, I muttered to myself. After that, I was busy with preparations and contacting the relevant parties. Several times, I caught Amanda secretly on the phone in the hallway. At that time, I thought she was probably notifying a friend of my son about the funeral schedule. But something seemed off. Today, it was decided that quickly. Yes, I'm happy, she exclaimed joyfully amidst the sorrow filling the house. Did something happen? When I asked from behind, Amanda turned around with a face as if she had seen a ghost and said, "You startled me, Helen." "No, it's nothing." She then quickly left, clutching her cell phone. I felt something was suspicious, but with my mental state and the hustle and bustle at home, I didn't pursue it. I've never liked this daughter-in-law, Amanda, since she married into the family. The day my eldest son, Thomas, introduced her to me. She came in vivid, high-brand clothing and was drenched in perfume. I was amazed that she would come dressed so flamboyantly to meet the parents of her potential future spouse. Even after they were married, she showed no inclination to tend to household affairs, instead always talking about hotel lunches and trips to Hawaii. Gallivanting without a care for my busy son, who was a liar. Thomas was a kind son who never forgot Mother's Day or birthdays, always considerate of his parents. That is why I was honestly dissatisfied that I had to accept Amanda without a single complaint. About 20 minutes before the funeral was to begin, Amanda, stand at the entrance and greet the guests. Colleagues and superiors from the law firm are also coming. Do I have to stand there the whole time? It's so bothersome, and my feet are going to hurt because of these heels. What are you talking about? You are the chief mourner. If you want to be the chief mourner, Helen, please feel free to take over for me. I'm really not good at this greeting thing, LOL. Even after my admonishment, she did not seem to move from the relatives' seats. However, as the visitors began to queue, I decided reluctantly that I had to stand out front after all. I can't let my son down at the end like this. As I stood at the entrance greeting my son's lawyer colleagues and the superiors who had taken care of him, Amanda suddenly appeared from behind. Hello everyone, it's been a while. Thank you for coming today for my husband. As I was greeting my son's colleagues, Amanda began to greet each one, pushing me aside to introduce herself to the office superiors as the wife. She made such a bright entrance with a loud voice that I glared at her, wondering what she was thinking. We couldn't see you, Amanda, so we were looking for you. We were planning to greet you later. Actually, Thomas's mother told me that I'm an embarrassing daughter-in-law and shouldn't stand at the entrance. Even though I'm already sad, it just makes me feel so unbearable. Is that so? You're as beautiful as ever. There's nothing embarrassing about you. Amanda, that's not a nice way to put it. I asked you several times to stand at the entrance, but you refused. You just didn't want to because your feet would hurt, right? Why not wear sneakers? Please stop. What are you saying? Lately, she has been saying some strange things. I'm sorry. With that, Amanda gave an apologetic look to the colleagues from the law firm. Could you not treat me like an old woman? You said it yourself, you find it bothersome to greet the condolence visitors. And you've been nothing but complaints this morning. My somewhat raised voice caused a stir among those around us. As I was about to complain Amanda grabbed my hand and said with eyes that were not smiling at all, Helen, you're tired. Let's go to the back room. Her face suggested she wanted no further argument. Wait, I'm staying right here. What kind of mother would I be if I wasn't here to send off my son? Could everyone please help? Thomas's mother has been acting strangely lately, and even Thomas was worried about her. It's not good for her to get excited, so perhaps it's better if she stays in the back room. Leave the funeral to me. I could see the concern among the condolence visitors. Clearly, I was being made out to be the distraught mother. Are you all right? She's always so nice to me. I really look up to her like my own mother and rely on her. We even go out together. That's a truly good mother-daughter relationship. Helen, hold on to me. Let's go over there. Please don't overdo it. I thought to myself that we hardly ever go out together except when there's some business matter. But I held my tongue. All right, I'll sit over there. As I pretended to be calm and started to return to my seat, someone said, You dropped something? Turning around, one of the colleagues had Thomas's treasured keychain. "What is this?" "A dirty old bear keychain." "Oh no, Helen, you're holding on to something like that. I understand you can't throw away old things, but I'll get you a better one as a present next time," Amanda said. And she effortlessly lifted the keychain by its ring from my hand. Watching this, Thomas's colleagues commented, "Really? What a thoughtful daughter-in-law." Thomas would be relieved. The daughter-in-law nonchalantly put the bear keychain into her black bag. Then, before the funeral, Amanda was surrounded by the lawyer colleagues, who began to share in her sorrow. Despite the busy situation, Amanda started to talk about Thomas's life at home, seemingly trying to showcase herself as a good wife. I wonder if there are any memories to talk about between a son who comes home late due to his busy work and the daughter-in-law who spends her days doing what she likes and goes to bed early under the pretext of beauty. The sight of her whispering with my son's colleagues while occasionally glancing my way easily led me to imagine that she was spreading unfavorable rumors about me. I hated being there, and more than anything, I was infuriated by my daughter-in-law's lack of compassion towards my son, which gave me a headache. I had witnessed many times the difference between the attitude that Amanda shows only to me and the one she shows to others. But today was a special day to see off my son. I didn't want to fight in front of my son today, but I couldn't just stay silent either. "Don't you know what this keychain is?" "How could I possibly know?" "Wasn't this keychain attached to the key of Thomas's home?" Now that you mention it, it might have been. It's really dirty." Not knowing the keychain that her husband, who had lived with her for so many years, had, not only because of Amanda's changing attitudes, but also because it was a significant day to send off my son, I was so sad that I held the keychain tightly and cried. And then the funeral was about to begin. A woman quickly exited the quiet hall. It was Amanda. While dabbing my tears with a handkerchief, I was startled to see Amanda heading outside. I thought she might be feeling ill, but then I saw that she was firmly gripping her cell phone in her hand. I secretly told my niece, who had attended the funeral, that Amanda seemed to be in bad health and asked her to go check on her. My niece nodded and left the hall. After a while, I could see my niece returning with a pale face, but I was too preoccupied with the funeral to address it. Right after the funeral ended, my niece approached me. "Annie, can I talk to you for a moment?" "What's the matter?" When taken to the family waiting room by my niece, she said, "Andy, I was shocked, but it seems like Amanda has sold the house she was living in with Thomas." "What do you mean?" "When I went outside earlier after you asked me to check, I overheard Amanda on the phone. She was definitely talking to a real estate agent." "Why do you think that?" "She was saying things like, 'Has it been decided?' That was quick." "How much will it be roughly? Can it exceed $500,000? And then, it's only 5 years old and it's new, so I want at least $600,000. I've got permission from the family." Everything went dark before my eyes. It was unthinkable to sell the house they lived in together without even sending Thomas off properly. What does this mean? I always thought she was a rude daughter-in-law. But who could have imagined she would sell the house even before the funeral had ended? My head was spinning with rage. I immediately went to Amanda and asked, "Hey, I heard that you're trying to sell the house. Is that true?" Unable to contain myself, whether I wanted to cry or be angry, I confronted Amanda. For a moment, Amanda's eyes widened. But then she regained her composure, perhaps concerned about the reaction of those around her. Helen, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe there's been some misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Not at all. You were putting in a request to sell the house where you lived with Thomas to a real estate agent. I also know that you slipped out during the funeral to take that call. Thomas's colleagues who were talking with Amanda couldn't hide their surprise. However, I continued without concern for them. After all you've done so far, what is this treatment to me? What do you mean by treatment, Helen? That house is mine and Thomas's, so it's my prerogative what to do with it, right? Even so, don't you think it's strange to be on the phone with a real estate agent during the funeral? I don't think it's strange. After all, it was a very important call about whether it could be sold or not, wasn't it? Don't worry, it won't sell. Unfortunately, it seems like it's going to sell. I just got a call that it could be sold for $600,000. Oh, and that stylish Italian sofa that Thomas loved. I'm planning to sell that too. The appraisal is already done. I was so full of things I wanted to say that no words came out. For the first time, I felt overwhelmed, not knowing where to start with my objections. Excuse me for interrupting. Amanda, are you really planning to sell your house? One of the colleagues couldn't stand it anymore and interjected into the conversation. Yes, I am. I went ahead and sold it. With that, Amanda stuck out her tongue and made a peace sign with both hands while giggling. Even Thomas's colleagues lost their words in surprise, falling silent. You went ahead. During your son's funeral, you're trying to get your hands on the money by selling the house you lived in. How can you be so rotten? I've said it several times, but that house is mine. Besides, Helen, the value of a house decreases as it gets older. So, I thought it would be better to do it sooner rather than later. Did this daughter-in-law not soak in the memories with her son? Wasn't she sad or depressed? Was Thomas really happy with Amanda? Their married life was full of doubts. I felt unbearably sorry for my son that his life had come to such an end. With that thought, I cried openly, without regard for the people around me. When Thomas's colleagues asked if I was okay and patted my back, the tension I had been holding back seemed to snap, and I sat down and cried even more like a child. But wait a minute, there's something that's been bothering me. Is the house actually in your name? Of course, it is. It was supposed to be in joint names with Thomas. When we got married, I asked him to build a house and to have it in joint names. No, we all went out for drinks before, and Thomas was giving advice to a junior who was buying a new house. He said that it's better not to have a joint name. He said his house isn't in joint names. Amanda's face became serious. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Helen, once the sale is finalized, I'll leave. Then we don't have to see each other anymore. The situation has become increasingly complex with conflicting statements about the ownership of the house. It's a moment that seems to require legal clarification and perhaps the intervention of a professional to understand the true nature of the property ownership. Amanda, I told you earlier that it wouldn't sell. I wasn't just saying that without reason. The house can't be sold because it's in my name. Amanda looked at me with a surprised expression. What do you mean? Take it exactly as I said. I don't know what Thomas told you when you were getting married, but the truth is that the house was purchased in my name. Why? Maybe he had some doubts about you. He must have been troubled when you suddenly wanted to build a house even though you weren't married yet. He said he wanted to complete the house by the wedding day, and he was worried about it. He bought it in my name because with joint ownership, it couldn't be sold on a whim if something happened. That's right. Thomas mentioned that too. Of course, he trusted his wife. But since their relationship was still new, he decided to put it in his mother's name for the time being. Wait a minute. I've never heard such a thing. Amanda appeared visibly flustered and pale, and for good reason. She had already told the real estate agent that the house was sold, and there was a possibility that she would have to pay a substantial penalty for breaking the contract. Wait, Helen, is that really true? Amanda asked me again. That's why I've been saying from the beginning that it couldn't be sold. No matter how many times you ask, the answer won't change. This isn't a joke or anything. Amanda sat down, dumbfounded, and hurriedly made a phone call to the real estate agent to explain the situation. The real estate agent was obviously angry, thinking it wasn't a joke, and Amanda was apologizing profusely. The house sale had already been processed. The deal had been concluded in writing with the buyer, who had expressed a desire to take possession of the property as soon as possible. At this point, it was too late for such claims, and the real estate agent was certainly not backing down. Furthermore, they urgently told Amanda to get the name change processed. Otherwise, they mentioned that a penalty for breach of contract and, in the worst case, damages could be incurred. Amanda, while holding the receiver, said to me, "Please, Helen, if we cancel now, I'll have to pay a penalty, and in the worst case, I might be faced with a claim for damages." So what? I don't recall giving you permission to sell the house. And you did all this on your own, right? First, you should apologize to the buyer and ask if they can cancel. If it comes to a claim for damages, I don't have enough money right now. I'm really sorry, Helen. Please help me? No. Did you even consider that you were dealing with your husband's mother? Especially doing something like discussing selling the house during my son's funeral is out of the question. Oh, and remember the furniture that was prepared in the new home for the wedding? I arranged all that at Thomas's request, so don't think you can take any of it. Amanda was even more surprised and put down her mobile phone, slumping in resignation. Thomas was cautious by nature, but perhaps even more so because of his profession as a lawyer. At first, I thought he was being overly cautious about getting married, but maybe he had his reasons. Are you saying Thomas deliberately put the house in your name? That's right. He asked if the house could be put in my name. And remember, about 40% of the cost of the house you were living in was also paid by me. I didn't know that. I thought it was paid for with our savings. Our savings? What are you talking about? I heard you had no savings when you got married. That's why I provided some financial help as a wedding gift. Despite dressing in such flashy fashion when we first met, you had no savings. And yet, you wanted an extravagant wedding and insisted on a detached house for a home. Wait, did Thomas tell you all of this? No, it was me? Amanda turned in surprise toward the voice and saw that it was the instructor from the yoga class she attended. You're from the yoga class. Why are you here? The story I just told was not something Thomas told me. My son was kind and would never speak ill of his wife to me. Amanda had been carelessly chatting about her private matters with her friends at the yoga class she attended for beauty. Her friend, who worked as an instructor at the school, had felt worried every time she overheard Amanda's loud conversations during breaks because they sounded similar to my family's issues. Every time I overheard you showing off your stories to everyone, I thought it sounded similar to Helen's family's situation. That's why I checked. Is your daughter-in-law Amanda? I asked. Amanda, perhaps surprised, was staring fixedly at one point. Amanda, I know everything. Your attitude and what you've done has really angered me. But at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is that you can't sell the house. And you need to inform the buyer quickly, or you'll be in trouble. After saying this, I sat down on a chair that had been prepared nearby. And Amanda glared at me and said, I can't believe both of you. What do you think I've done? Suddenly, Amanda began to argue back loudly. I just married Thomas and asked him to build a house. That's all. What's wrong with selling it? And I didn't ask for the furniture. If I knew you were buying it, I wouldn't have asked for it. What are you saying now? It means it has nothing to do with me. It's something you did on your own. Why should I be blamed for that? Thomas's colleagues stepped in to mediate, saying, calm down, and they parted the backs of both Amanda and me. I haven't done anything wrong. I just put up for sale the place where I was living. It's crazy that you did the name change to yourself without telling me. You're not in a position to argue with me. Even if it was in your name, it was a house where my son also lived. So it's natural to consult about selling it. Why do I have to be involved to such an extent even though I'm not a child? Amanda and I had gotten so heated up that the people around us didn't know what to do. But well, I still have compassion. After all, you were the wife who lived with my son. It was fortunate I didn't know your true nature until now. For now, call the real estate agent immediately. If it comes to it, I'll speak to them as well. Yes. Amanda made a phone call to the real estate agent right before our eyes. She informed them that the house was in her mother-in-law's name and that there was no intention to change the ownership, then asked what should be done next. At first, the real estate agent was reluctant. But when I pleaded that they had no right to sell a house under my name without permission, they could no longer proceed forcefully. They agreed to call the buyer and consult further. Thus, after a noisy funeral, we never imagined we would send off our son in such a way. And we were overwhelmed with regret. At the same time, we were at a loss for words. Embarrassed before the colleagues who worked with our son, wishing we could just disappear. A few days later, while Amanda and some relatives were helping to tidy up after the funeral at my house, the real estate agent contacted us promptly. All eyes were on Amanda as she took the call, but it seemed that the conversation didn't go well. What happened? It looks like it's not possible. They're likely going to demand a cancellation fee and damages. I see that stuff. I answered with a cold, emotionless voice. Helen, I don't have much money. I'm no difference to anyone else. Of course, I will let you inherit what Thomas left behind. However, please discuss this with the real estate agent in front of me and the relatives. I will make sure to witness whether you pay the estate agent properly. Amanda agreed in a voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz. She was a shadow of her former self. Amanda, your behavior was terrible, but let it be. Now, find a job right away. Work and live on the money you earn. understand. Amanda looked at me with dissatisfaction but nodded earnestly. That day, after all the tidying up was done, Amanda left, thanking us for the care. She was much more subdued than during the funeral when she had been arrogant. However, even after finding a part-time job, Amanda's temperament was rough, and she repeatedly clashed with supervisors and colleagues and quit. Eventually, unable to secure stable employment, her life became difficult. She would look for the cheapest supermarkets and walk to destinations 3 stations away to save on transport costs, a stark contrast to her former life of luxury lunches and yoga classes. As for myself, I'm now indulging in exercise and beauty, wanting to stay healthy and youthful. I am practicing hard for a competition with people I met in my ballroom dancing circle. There's a polite young man who recently joined the circle, reminding me of Thomas, which makes me happy. Now, I look forward to meeting this young man and dining out together. Sometimes I shed tears when I remember Thomas, but I want to expand my horizons by talking to various people. And of course, I am careful not to engage in any bad talk. It was good that I had support this time. But the old saying, walls have ears, doors have eyes, has taught me the importance of discretion. In this world, it seems walls and doors are all ears. It's best not to engage in unnecessary talk, something I've come to understand with age. Just as my mother used to say. Lastly, I've keenly felt how important a person's character is, regardless of their age. From this incident, I decided to keep Thomas's cherished bear keychain, believing in the superstition that it will bring good fortune and aiming to move forward. I want to cherish the time with my friends and make the most of my life.